Welcome into the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's the Post-Postgame show as we take you into the wee hours of the morning here in Philadelphia. It's going to be a long next couple of hours until the sun comes up and people hit the Schuylkill Expressway tomorrow morning. Dan Sileo joins me from out on the other coast with an immediate perspective and immediate reaction. A national prime time game in Big D. Dak returns home, but Jalen Hurts, head coach Nick Sirianni, and this Philadelphia team, Dan Sileo, went into Dallas with big expectations and literally came out and shit the bed.
Absolutely. And what they did, Joe, was they tried to go out and get into a shootout with them, and there was no way. 71 plays to 53 plays. There was no way on the planet tonight that the Eagles were going to be in that conversation to have a win. Limited amount of first downs, the inability to be able to run the football. They had to take possessions away from Dak Prescott to have an opportunity to win. The offensive line, missing 40% of the personnel that's in there, reared its head in this game. And I keep hearing people tell me that this kid Sanders is a good back. I don't know if he's a good back. Sirianni, I don't know if this is coming from ownership. I don't know if this is coming from the general manager, Howie Roseman, but I mean, their inability to want to even attempt to try to hand off and run the football. Dallas won this game because they did the same thing that the 49ers did last week, and that was this. They outmuscled the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles got out to a great start, Joe, on defense. They were playing good. They were creating turnovers. They were getting pressure. But when you start to get into a track meet with Dak Prescott and that offense, they don't have the personnel on that side of the football yet. And with the injuries that they have, there was no way you're going to sit there and give Dak 71 plays and you're going to have 53 offensive plays. That was never going to happen in this game tonight.
Dan Sileo, what do you make of head coach Nick Sirianni and in terms of how he performed tonight? I think he's going to come under a tremendous amount of fire for the rest of the week. And, oh, by the way, Big Red and the Kansas City Chiefs are coming into town on a short week and coming in here to Philadelphia. What do you make of Sirianni?
And how about this, too? An awful loss, too, against the Chargers. So you know that they're not going to want to roll into this opportunity to play this Philadelphia team. Now, I will say this. I do think that the Kansas City team is not the same team. And I've been saying this, Joe, in the National Football Show for the last 2 weeks. That's not the same team. Chris Jones is not making plays. They're turning the football over Kansas City, and they're just not playing good defense right now. I don't know how that plays into what we saw tonight. But as for Sirianni, hey, look, let's throw this out there, man. I mean, the play calling, what's your identity? I said it today, too, when we were giving kind of a preview of it, and we were talking with Gary Cobb. What's the identity? Do you want to run the ball? Do you not run a ball? Are you trying to move Jalen Hurts out into the perimeter so you can create more passing lanes and create a position where he's passing and using half the field, because that's how you traditionally bring along a young quarterback? I mean, but the inability to get the ball to Devontae Smith. We saw it in the first game against the Atlanta Falcons. They were able to get the ball in space to him. But, man, I'm telling you, and look, the beat Dallas shirt, it looks stupid like my stupid turnover chain at Miami. When you're getting killed like that, the beat Dallas shirt looks like Henry high school stuff. I mean, you're not going to be able to pull that off in Philadelphia, man, when you're out there and you're giving rah-rah speeches and then you're going like that. Last week it was the Philly special in the red zone. Dude, run the freaking ball. Run the ball. You have an offensive line. That is the strength of your football team. And what are you doing? You're playing finesse football. This is the problem that I see here, Joe. I mean, you got power guys, your O-line, your D-line. And what you're doing is you're finessing. You don't have a finesse offense yet. You're still in the infant stages of trying to create a position for Jalen to be successful. Jalen was terrible tonight. Now, is that because of coaching, his inability to be able to run the offense that Sirianni wants? But I said it to you, Joe, and I said it to everybody else. Bottom line with this football team, you got Kansas City, not all in this order. You got Kansas City. You got a much improved Panther team that's now 3-0 and playing good defense. You got the Raiders who are 3-0, okay? They're creating defense, and they're getting pressure on the quarterback. Then you got the Buccaneers, and as you said, Kansas City. This team could be 1-6, and if you play the way you did tonight, you will be 1-6. I mean, you've got to figure out a way to run the football. This football team is not a team that is set up to get the football and start to get into a track meet. By the way, where the hell are the tight ends? I mean, get them more involved in the play. If you can't go running, do intermediate passing like Brady does so that you could create just a little space. Being 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8, prior to coming on the air, we were talking to Krause Jr., and he was saying the same thing. Bro, run the ball. Run the freaking football. I mean, there's no other evaluation than the fact that how many carries did what's his name have? Sanders? 2? Dude, why even have him on the roster?
I want to stay on head coach Nick Sirianni for just a little bit longer, Dan, and get your perspective on this question. At what point do some of the veteran players start to say or whisper, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing? Now, I don't know if that's the case, but at what point does that happen? He doesn't look to the naked eye like he knows what he's doing. It looks like he's in over his head. How
about this, Joe? Coaching is this. I ask people this, and I get asked to talk in front of football teams, and I spoke to my Hurricane team a couple of years ago when they played Notre Dame. I go, it's like a religion. You have to believe in blind faith that there's an everlasting life and afterlife and whatever. Blind faith is like a religion, and so is coaching, and so is believing in your coach. You have to have blind faith that you believe that coach is going to put you in a position to win. Now, when you see the inability to put these players in a position to win, if you're a veteran guy and you just come off the heels of being with Doug Peterson and Frank Reich for that matter, and you see that you're not being put in a position, there is no question. If you had howling, Joe, in that Eagles locker room last year with Doug Peterson talking about Nicky Foles here, Carson Wentz here, if you had that bickering with those experience, guy won a freaking Super Bowl a couple of years ago. What do you think you're doing with a coach who's never had any kind of game experience and not being able to set up play calls for that, the ability to put you guys in a position to win? There is no question. You are going to start to get people whispering in the corners going like this. Hey, there's going to be a fracture inside the locker room where you get this. Dude, I don't know. Our defense played really good in the first quarter. All of a sudden, we ran out of gas because this guy had too many 3 and outs. We kept saying it. You cannot be a ballet routine. 1, 2, 3 kick. 1, 2, 3 kick. That's why Dak got 71 plays to 53 of the Eagles. 1, 2, 3 kick. 1, 2, 3 kick. I keep hearing how good this O-line is. Well, Nick's not utilizing the O-line. Finesse this. Philly special last week. Inability in the red zone. Dude, I tell you, I shake my head and I look at what you're saying. Because if you see it, Joe, professional football guys in the locker room, they feel it. They know that this coach right now is green. Hey, Joe, by the way, going from being a position coach, people always say this. Okay, when a player goes from the college ranks and he goes to the professional ranks, okay, there's a transition. Well, a position coach going from position coach to head coach, there's a transition. This guy looks like a wide receiver coach to me. So far, he looks like he's still making that transition to being a head football coach. I don't give a rat's ass what Howie wants. I don't care what the owner wants. Bro, you got to run the ball, man. And I know ownership doesn't want to run the ball. It seems that way because, Joe, when's the last time the Eagles had a running attack? They hadn't had one last year. They don't have one this year. What the hell's going on, man? You got a young quarterback and a young coach. What is the number one way to make sure that you have an easy transition? That's fact is running the ball. Look at Mike Vrabel at Tennessee. Mike Vrabel's got Derrick Henry. He breaks in. You mean to tell me Ryan Tannehill, who was a colossal failure in Miami, he goes to Tennessee. You got Derrick Henry. This dude goes against Seattle last week, 182 and 3 TDs, 113 this past weekend. And you got a situation where you have revamped the quarterback because Mike Vrabel's some great coach? No, it's running the ball and stopping the run. Simple as it's been since 1920 in this league.
Dan Sileo joining me here on the Post-Postgame show, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Go to statesidevodka.com. Use the keyword JAKIB. Get 15% off a 1-liter bottle. They'll deliver it right to you if you're in Pennsylvania.
Hey, Joe, they better deliver one of them bottles of vodka to the head coach. I'll tell you what, he'll need it after this game session and this film session.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We're going to talk a lot this week all across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel about this blowout, embarrassing loss to Dallas in Dallas. The Cowboys posted 27 first downs. The Eagles had 12. The time of possession, 35, just under 35 minutes for Dallas, 25 minutes for the Eagles. Rushing yardage, the Cowboys mustered 160, and the Eagles could only muster 64. And Miles Sanders only had 2 carries, and he's your feature back in this offense. So there are lots of issues or lots of concerns, Dan Sileo, when the team goes back to work on Wednesday. But before they can even get there, you've got to understand what happened here. The other question coming into this game, and we talked about it all week on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, John McMullen pointed it out many, many times. Hey, the Dallas defense is not one of the top 5, one of the top 10, one of the top 15, one of the top 20 defenses in the league. Well, tonight, that defense was stout.
Absolutely. That's not doomsday over there. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
That's not doomsday. However, you know what Dan Quinn did? He put his defensive guys in a position to be able to be successful. You know what he did? He lined up guys over the substitutes that were put in games, like the kid Parsons. They got great pressure. They moved him around in the pocket. How many times, too? And by the way, what is Jalen Hurts doing trying to extend plays in the end zone when if he gets sacked, it's a safety and the Cowboys get the ball? When you're back there, you're not trying to extend plays when you're throwing out of your own end zone. You're trying to create plays, and if not, get the ball, throw it away. There's nothing wrong with throwing the ball away. That's why we employ punters. That's a position too. It's a field position changer. I don't want my quarterback extending plays in my own end zone. There were so many fundamental, how about this, Joe? Like high school stuff. Maybe the T-shirt embodies what's going on because it just looks unorganized right now. As much as I saw the first game where everything was strategically placed out and everything was put out there and it was so well done, this came off like this. Dude, he never changed from the Falcon game. It looks like the same attack, and all these great coordinators that are in the NFL right now, in my opinion, Nick Sirianni hasn't adjusted since the Falcon game. The 49ers picked it up. They're doing the same stuff. It's so predictable. By the way, you know, I saw one of the guys write something in here, Wick, that's over here in the chat, and he said something about Deuce if he would have been hired. Now I know why Deuce didn't get hired, Joe, because Deuce would have been a guy that would have ran the ball 28 times in this game tonight, and he would have tried to build the offense around the center point of running the ball. He wasn't hired in Philly because they want to throw the rock and they're building the football team. Look at what the Eagles have done the last 2 drafts, really. They're building from the perimeter in. 2 wide receivers have been drafted, high picks, Rieger and Devontae. Not saying they're bad players, not saying it at all. But you never build the football team from the perimeter in. You build your football team from the inside out. And again, they feel really good about their offensive line. But in my opinion, man, if you're going to draft these guys and you're going to have one of the top 5 so-called offensive lines, use it. Use it. Run the ball, create 3rd and short. That would have helped Jalen so much tonight when it came to play action. Can you imagine, Joe, even if you don't have tremendous success, it still has to put the defense and Dan Quinn, the DC, in a position where, listen, they're still going to hammer the ball. They're going to try to hammer it. They're going to try to get one loose here. We've got to honor the running game. After what? Let me say this. After the first quarter, Cowboys never honored the run of the Eagles. They never honored it because they didn't have to honor it because there were no attempts. Joe, you turned my defense into a position that I know you're one-dimensional, and that's exactly what Dan Quinn did tonight. He turned the Eagles into a one-dimensional football team. The inability to be able to throw the ball and the inability to be able to want to run the ball turned them into a one-trick pony, man. And Dallas pinned their ears, and all of a sudden, like you said, they look like doomsday tonight.
Dan, I want to ask you get one other thought from you here on the Post-Postgame show across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Thanks so much. Thanks a million for jumping on.
Of course.
Love getting your perspective. And of course, you'll be right back here tomorrow on the National Football Show from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. The penalties that are are multiplying in numbers is a product of what? Not being prepared, individual mistakes. What is it? I get it. There's penalties. Penalties are going to happen in a game. But when there's that many penalties, the alarm has to go off.
Absolutely. Joe, what is it? 13 penalties tonight, 117 yards in yards. I mean, think of that. So, okay, 117 yards in penalties. You gave up a full football field and then some in penalties, pre-snap penalties. Those aggravate me the most because there's nothing athletic about it. Pre-snap penalties, you know what that is, Joe? That's just lining up in the bad place or not knowing the snap count or not focused. I mean, it's the inability of the team to be laser focused. I'll give you an example. Last year, if you remember right, I don't know how many people remember this, but in that Chicago game last year for the Buccaneers, there were like 13 penalties. They had 100 yards. There were massive turnovers. Hell, Brady even forgot what down it was when it was 4th down. Do you know what the Bucs did the next day? They came out the next game, 0 turnovers, 0 penalties, and they went on a run and they won the Super Bowl because Brady was on the sideline bitching. Who is on the sideline for the Eagles? That's a leader that's going to ask for accountability. Someone's got to lead that team. And just because you got a brand new head football coach, hey, listen, I say this all the time. Coaches drawing X's and O's up, great. Okay. Player accountability. This is the guys in the locker room. When I hear people blaming coaching for penalties, pre-snap penalties, you going off sides, you're going to blame that on your D-line coach or your O-line coach? Weak. That is on the player. That is totally on those guys. Those penalties are on the player, not coaching. You've got to be focused consistently. To me, this goes back to the crap that's gone on in Philadelphia for the last 2.5 years. This clubhouse stuff has to be eradicated. There's got to be leadership. Got to love the guys you're playing with. I'm not saying that 90% of the guys in that locker room don't. But when you see that amount of penalties, I don't want to hear my coaches bitching at me. I want to hear my players standing up in the locker room going, this is unacceptable here, man. Those guys go, Joe, coaches go to a chalkboard and draw like hangmen and, I don't know, tic-tac-toe. Players have to go on the football field and execute that game plan. You're jumping off sides, man. That's like having a guy strike out 4 times and blame the batting coach because he struck out 4 times. Come on, man. This comes down to players in that locker room. You can't have that. You cannot have penalties and turnovers the way they did, not being able to run the ball, not having an identity. Here, let's do this. What's the identity of the Eagles right now? Passing, rollouts, running, finesse? I'm still trying to figure it out who they are. I mean, I know what the Bucs want to do. I know what Green Bay wants to do. I know this in Tennessee, you're going to get a whole boatload of Derrick Henry. Everybody's got an identity on what they do. What are the Eagles? I haven't known what the Eagles want to do in 2 years. I don't know, Joe. It looks like the same stuff for me a year ago. What's the difference between Jalen Hurts' play and the way that Carson Wentz played last year? I'm trying to figure it out here. What's less sacks? Okay, so I guess Hurts can move around better. But still, it's the stuff that we saw at the end of the game. The scoreboard makes it look closer. That game was a complete blowout. There was nothing. The only thing competitive about that game was a coin toss.
Dan Sileo here on the Post-Postgame show across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Right back here tomorrow afternoon, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And, of course, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And now on every Post-Postgame show.
Yes, sir.
Because if I can stay up...
If old man Joe could stay up, Big Seals can get his fat ass up.
That's it. Dan Sileo, great stuff, man. Appreciate you jumping on the Post-Game show. Great perspective from Dan Sileo. We'll check in with him tomorrow on the National Football Show. We'll take a commercial break. We continue. We roll on. Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports will check in, and we may get John McMullen back down live in Arlington at AT&T Stadium. Back in a moment.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in your bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the stakes. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
The live post-game show is powered by IBEW Local 98. And back here on the Post-Postgame show across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel after a devastating beat down in Big D. Eagles lose that football game, and they lose it ugly, 41-21. Couple other stats for you. We were hoping to bring in Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, but as my executive producer, Xander Krause, let me know, he'll be filling in for John McMullen tomorrow morning on Birds 365 with Jody Mack. So he'll be right back here tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. You'll catch him here. Special thanks to Dan Sileo. By the way, if you missed any of the live post-game show with Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, Devin Caney, Lane Johnson joined the show, and he was very candid with Derek Gunn and the crew. And then Jeff Skversky from 6ABC, all part of the live post-game show. You can watch in its entirety tomorrow right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Some notable player stats from tonight. Jalen Hurts, for what it's worth, 25 out of 39, 326 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, including Trevon Diggs with the pick 6 when Devontae Smith went to the ground. Although, candidly, even if Devontae Smith didn't fall down, I'm not so sure that Diggs wouldn't have still had the same outcome. Jalen Hurts had 9 carries for 35 yards. Dallas Goedert, where were the tight ends? Dallas Goedert, 2 catches for 66 yards on the other side of the football. Dak Prescott, 21 of 26, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns for the Dallas quarterback. And Ezekiel Elliott, 17 carries, 95 yards, and a couple of rushing touchdowns. By the way, Dalton Schultz, also 6 catches, 80 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Dallas Cowboys embarrassed this football team tonight in Dallas. We'll try and get an update for you on Birds 365 on Isaac Seumalo and all of the activity and the conversation begins tomorrow right here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, beginning with Birds 365 from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. John McMullen will still be down in Arlington. He'll check in at 9:20 tomorrow. Get lost in the middle with Eitan Shander, Harry Mays, and Barrett Brooks. And then, of course, right back in the afternoon, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., Dan Sileo will be along and we will with the National Football Show. That's going to do it for our Eagles post-game coverage and for the post-game show tonight. For everybody tuning in and watching and subscribing and taking us late into the morning hours. I'm Joe Krause. See you next time, everybody.